Mathematical operators. In this video, we will learn the basics of executing math in Python. There are many ways to execute math in Python. One way is to do it inside of a print statement. Here we print the sum of 10 plus 17, which for our output would give us 27. We could also use math to assign values to variables. Here we set x equal to the result of 5 plus 9. Thus, when I print out x on the second line, for my output I get 14. Side note, this would not be interpreted the same if I put quotation marks around the entire expression. Nor would it have been interpreted the same had I put quotation marks around each individual number. In the case of x, where I place quotation marks around the entire expression, when I print that out, rather than get 14, I get the expression because that's what was inside the quotation marks. And in the case of y, where I put quotation marks around each individual number, this would be interpreted as concatenation, which, as we discussed in the previous video, is combining strings together. Thus, when I output y, I get 5, 9. This serves as another reminder that in Python, when working with variables, type matters. Type does influence the behavior of your program. All right, now going back to our original discussion, we can set variables equal to the result of an expression. Here we set x equal to the sum of 11 and 12. Thus, when we printed it out, we get 23. Okay. We can also use operators on variables. Okay. Here in this problem, I set x equal to 3. Then I set y equal to the sum of x and 8. Or in other words, I set y equal to the sum of the value stored inside x plus 8. Since 3 is a value stored inside x, y will be set equal to 3 plus 8. Thus, when I print y out, I get 11. I can also use operators on just variables. Here in this example, I set x equal to 2, I set y equal to 7, then I set z equal to the sum of x and y. Thus, when I print z out to the screen, I get the result of 2 plus 7, which is 9. I can also use a variable more than once in the same statement. Now, here's what I mean by that. In line 1, I set x equal to 2. Then in line 2, I set x equal to x plus 4. In other words, I'm saying in line 2, I set x equal to the value currently stored inside x plus 4. Thus, x will get set equal to 2 plus 4 because 2 is the value that's stored inside x when we reach the second line. Thus, when I print out x, the output will be 6, since that's the sum of 2 plus 4. Now, it is worth noting that assigning x plus 4 to x is not the same thing as simply assigning 4 to x. In the case of line 2, I'm increasing x by 4, whereas in the last line, I'm simply assigning 4 to x. Thus, after that last line, when I print x from my output, I get 4. So again, to reiterate, in line 2, I'm increasing x plus 4, whereas in line 5, I'm simply assigning x the value 4. This table lists the most common math operators used in Python. The first 4 rows contain operators that you should be familiar with: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. They work the same way you've always used them. The final 3 we'll focus a little more attention on, starting with exponentiation. Exponentiation simply means raised the left operand to the power of the right operand. So for example, 2 star star 3 simply means raise 2 to the third power, which is 2 times 2 times 2, which gives us 8. Next is modulus, or the remainder operator. This operator performs remainder division, then returns the remainder as a result. So for example, here we have 9 modulus 4. There are 2 ways to look at this. One way is to look at it as, hey, we have 9 pizzas, and we want to divide it evenly by 4 people. Since we have 4 people, that means the most each person can get is 2 pizzas. After each person gets 2 pizzas, we'll have 1 pizza left. That 1 will be our remainder. Another way to approach that example is to subtract 4 from 9 as many times as you can without going below 0. When you do that, you will find that the smallest number you can reach is 1, thus giving 1 as your remainder. And the last operator is the negative operator, which is what we use to express negative numbers. It's also our only example of a unary operator. A unary operator is an operator that only has one operand. All the other operators on this table are binary operators because they all take two operands, a left and a right operand. The last important topic regarding mathematical operators is operator precedence. If you are familiar with PEMDAS, then you are familiar with this concept. In Python, parentheses has the highest precedence above all operators. That's followed by exponentiation, which is then followed by the negative operator. Then beneath that is multiplication, division, and modulo. Those operators are the same precedence, thus, when competing with one another, they get evaluated from left to right. Then beneath that is addition and subtraction, which, when competing with one another, will get evaluated from left to right. To help further illustrate how precedence works in Python, I'll use an example. Consider this expression. The Python interpreter always starts at the far left, then moves right. So we start at the 1, then we encounter the plus operator. So what are we going to add 1 with? Next, we encounter parentheses. Okay, well, before we can determine what 1 will be added to, we need to first evaluate this parenthesized expression because parentheses has precedence over the plus operator. Okay, so next we encounter a 5. Then we encounter multiplication. What is the 5 going to be multiplied by? Well, now we just encountered another set of parentheses. So before I can figure out what 5 will be multiplied by, I need to first evaluate this inner parenthesized expression. So next we encounter a 1, then we encounter the plus operator, then a 2. We now have a complete expression that we can evaluate. 1 plus 2 equals 3. So that inner parenthesized expression can be replaced with 3. And now that I've done that, I'm now ready to evaluate the outer parenthesized expression. 5 times 3 gives me 15. Now, do I add the 15 to the 1? No, I do not. Why not? Well, because after the 15 is the exponentiation operator, which has higher precedence than plus. So, before I evaluate the plus operator, I first need to evaluate the exponentiation operator. 15 raised to the power of 2, or 15 squared, gives me 225. Now that that's evaluated, I can evaluate the plus operator to give me 226 as my final answer.